got dark all,
It's
all
so
of a
dark,
sudden.
but it kind of works. It's a cool witchy vibe.
Thank you. Feeling the vibes.
Yeah.
Well, welcome everybody to Of the Publishing Persuasion. This is our first episode of 2025. Wow, look at us go,
It's
right?
our first interview of 2025.
Okay.
We did our Happy New Year episode.
Oh yeah.
But it feels
Okay.
like the first official one because that was just a
Yes.
short, fun one just to check in.
Yes. This is our first interview episode of 2025. How wild is that, Melanie Schubert? Here we
It's
are, back at it again, but
yeah,
better than ever.
better than
Better
ever.
than ever.
It's gonna be,
Melanie, yes.
I was gonna say it's gonna be our fourth year this year.
Yikes. Yikes. That is wild. Time flies when you're having a good time, you know?
Literally.
Yeah,
Sorry, I'm
it
just
really does.
cackling because all I can see on your shelf is Castle of Horror, just watching you.
I I know. It's the perfect placement. Because every single interview I've ever done, you just see that like freaky freaking face behind me. No,
Yeah,
no other books. You just see that one.
just it's actually iconic.
Yes.
Like you feel that thing of like someone's watching you, and then it's the book every time.
Yes. Right freaking behind me.
Right.
Iconic. Speaking of iconic, I am about halfway through your newest anthology
Oh my
piece,
God.
and oh my gosh.
Really?
Holy moly. Yes. I hey, let me just read let me see if I can find my little highlighted notes that I
Oh
have
my
for you
gosh,
on
I feel shy. I wasn't prepared for a live
here.
review.
Well, I think only halfway through.
Okay.
But let me find my comments. There's not very many. Okay, let me go from okay. My first comment is, "Hello, I'm awake." Um, the next one is the visceral visual I just had.
I
Like
can almost
I
guess which part that was.
next thing I wrote is killer line. Absolutely kill. You've had some killer lines in
Wait, which
this
one
anthology
was
piece.
it? Can you read it?
Um,
What was the killer line? I'm on
and
Google.
you're gonna probably think this isn't even that. I was like, wow, that is so good. Okay, I'll read the little sentence before. She can't stop looking at the brain in his hands with wide, frenzied eyes. She probably wants it for herself, the treasury of Einstein's genius. That line, I don't know why I was like, whoo, that's good. That's
Thank you.
good. The next highlighted thing I said was love. That was the next one I highlighted. I said creepy, and that's as far as I've gotten so far. So those are my reviews of this anthology piece so far. On fire. Oh my gosh.
So you don't hate it, is what I'm hearing.
No, it feels very different from your writing because I think this
Mm.
is you don't know I don't think you normally do third
No,
person,
and I
right?
also did the naughty thing. Look, I thought really long and hard before writing it in the voice I did, and I kind of like did a little tally on the gram to see what other people thought because I've heard a lot of negative things about writing from it's not just third person point of view, it's would we even call it third? It's like yeah, third present. And I've
Mm-hmm.
also leaned into third present omniscient, right? So the
Yes.
voice is almost all knowing. We don't just see the point of view of one person, we will occasionally see the point of view of others. I have been, I've heard so many negative things about that style of writing for so many years that when I felt, so obviously, for those who have no clue what we're talking about,
Oh yeah.
this is the horror piece about Einstein's stolen brain that I got into for the next Castle of Horror anthology, volume 12, ripped from the headlines. So we had to pick like famous news stories. And once I heard about the story about Einstein's stolen brain, I couldn't stop thinking about it because I didn't know it had happened. And honestly, the original story itself, like I've said, is just wild. A lot of what you're reading in there is research, not made up. I've mixed my own shit in there as well. I've mixed fantasy in it. I have filled in the gaps the way I wanted, so it still hopefully flows like a bit of a story. But yeah, honestly, that was the hardest part because I did so much research and I had these kind of factual moments that like I watched unfold on camera or like the scene at the end with the professor, a lot of that is
No
direct.
spoilers. No spoilers,
No, I
miss. I
won't
haven't
spoil it,
finished
but
it
a
yet.
lot of
Okay,
that
good.
is direct quotation. That won't spoil it
Wow.
for you. That'll just be interesting for you to see that uh yeah, a lot of that is directly quoted from a scene that I've watched in a documentary more times than I care to admit.
And that is wild. Absolutely wild. No, I think your choice for the POV was perfect because
Thank you.
it feels so much creepier.
That's what I
And
thought. It felt creepy
yes,
when I started because initially I went to my go-to of like first person present, which is my favorite space to write in. I like being in my characters' heads. I didn't like it though because I didn't like the main character. Um,
yeah,
And I didn't want to empathize with him for this story because I'm good at empathizing with people, but sometimes it's not helpful. I didn't want to empathize
yeah.
with him for this story. I wanted to be a spectator. So, no, I'm so relieved to hear that it's
Yes.
hitting that way on the other end because I've been
Oh, heck
bricking
yeah.
it. Because when you go so far from what you usually write, even if it feels
Yeah.
right to you in the moment, you're like, shit, I hope I pulled it off.
Yeah. No, it's so good. It's superb.
Oh,
It's so creepy and gross and it's perfect.
gross.
Yes. Well, and it like I was just like, oh, um, I like reading that he Einstein died in 1955. I just had this moment of like, holy crap, like that's not that I mean it's a long time ago, but it's really not. And you just
Yeah,
feel like it is. But then you also the character plays what song was it? He plays a song.
that's amore.
Yes, and I started thinking like, oh wow, okay, Melanie's done her research because
Thank
that
you for
song was
noticing
right.
that.
Yes, yes,
Okay, so that's an example of where I've added lib and just done my own
yeah,
thing. So I was, because he's this kind of off-kilter character from the start, and he is when you watch him, he's so off-kilter. Um, I imagined that while he's doing this, he would be singing to himself. And so I did. I went and researched what were the songs that were like viral by the
yes,
that day's standards, and I was trying to think what I would imagine he would be humming and what would be least appropriate. So thank you for noticing that.
yes.
Girl,
It
I
was
busted my
perfect.
ass researching this, I'm not gonna lie.
No, I could tell because my mindset immediately when I was like, "Oh, Einstein died in 1955," and then he was humming that song or singing that song, and I thought, I guarantee this song has to be around that time. And so I looked, and I was
You
like,
look,
"Yep, 1953, bitch, it's out!" Like
you just
it's so
fulfilled
good.
like a writer dream of mine. Like that's goals for somebody to be like, I wonder if that's accurate, and then they Google it. Thank you for fulfilling my
Yep.
dreams today.
You're welcome. You're welcome. Yes, thank you for writing like out of your comfort zone because it's paying off. It's super, super, super cool.
Honestly, it's
Hmm.
why I love doing anthologies. Like, you can have a bit of fun with it. You don't have to take it. It's not a whole book. You can have a bit of fun. If it doesn't work out, it's only eight, whatever, 6,000 words. You can completely change it in one day, right?
Yeah,
I think
yeah.
I let myself just play with it and be like, let's see what happens. Let's write it like this. If I get to the end and I'm like, what a steaming pile of shit, I can change it in like a couple
Yes.
days. So yay for
Very
anthologies. I
good.
cannot say
Yeah.
enough to people submit, submit, submit to anthologies because, yeah, as we know, it
Heck
opens
yeah.
unexpected windows and doors and everything. So shout out to God Cartier for,
Uh-oh.
yeah, putting me in touch with this anthology in the first place. So yeah, excited
Heck
to see
yeah.
what
I
happens.
love it. Yes, I love that you have done anthologies. I I think they're so awesome, especially like when we were talking to Ali,
Yeah.
publishing takes forever.
Mm,
So it's like, why not while you're waiting, while you're querying, while you're on submission, just like flex your chops a little bit
yes.
and see what's out there. I freaking love it. I
That's
love this
great
for you.
advice to do it on query or submission, like especially if you don't have another project you're working on, because yeah, it feels so much more manageable to the brain to do it. And it feels low, I don't know, for me at least, it's always felt low stakes compared to
Yeah.
trying to actually finish an entire novel, get it on submission, land an agent, land an editor. All of that feels a lot more high stakes. So
Yes.
yeah, take the pressure off yourself, stretch your chops, and write an anthology.
Do it. Do it.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I don't know what you want to talk about today, how much you want to talk about, but I know you had a Zoom call a
Absolutely,
little
I
bit
did.
ago.
Sandra says hi to you. Um,
Thank you.
yes, I did
How
have,
did that go?
it went really well. As of, I believe, tomorrow morning, will be on sub. That's all I could think of. My brain blanked out the rest of the call.
Yeah, yeah, don't tell me anything else. Just look, come on, leave with that and we're done.
I'm like,
Oh
Sandra
my
says
God.
hi. I'm on sub tomorrow.
Bitch, like
Bitch.
how are we feeling? What is going on in your head? What's the game plan? Like, can you tell me and everybody else listening, like, what is happening? What tell us, what did Sandra tell you? Like, what's the emails being sent? What are they like? Just tell us everything
Yeah.
that you want to.
Yeah. You know I'm an open book. I just have to remember the things. My brain is like my brain is a bit scattered, but it'll come to me bit by bit. Um, so yeah, we had our little official Zoom call check-in before the going on sub. So yeah, I approved the final little edits and stuff yesterday, and we have our final file, and it was just kind of like a check-in, like do I have like for me to have any questions and like next steps. So yeah, it was exciting talking to Sandra this time. I could like see her excitement about the book as well. Like it was very bolstering, and yeah. So she showed me this Airtable thing, which will show me like I think I can log into that and see the status of like the editors
Oh.
that it gets sent out to and stuff. So I kind of have to decide. The one thing I haven't decided is how much I want to be informed along the way. I'm torn between wanting to know everything in real time as it happens, and with the Airtable, I guess that's possible. If she just updates that, I can see that myself. I kind of said to her for now, for the start, I kind of just want to hear good news. Like if an editor shows in and they're like, wow, this sounds great, can't wait to read, I want to hear it. You know? Like
Yes,
those little
yes.
things will just keep putting positive energy into the universe and yeah, so I kind of pitched her a few other book ideas while we were chatting for like, obviously I've tried to think about every scenario, but I think I'm getting too far ahead of myself. So I'm already like, well, this is what I'm working on next. And if we get a two-book deal, here's two options. I was like,
Lay it out there. Lay it out. Yes.
I was super ready for like whatever happens. And I realized like I should probably just enjoy this moment now. And that's kind of like, it's such a weird mix of like I've been doing this for so long. I feel like a professional in certain ways, but in
Mhm.
this way, I feel like, this is all completely new and uncharted territory. So it's such a weird mix, but yeah, like even when we are chatting to Ali, our guest for today, and she was just saying like all her 300 rejections and whatever, but like that if it had have happened earlier, she wouldn't have felt ready. As much as I hate to admit it, I am glad for like the steps that have brought me to where I am. I am glad that it's this book. And I mean, I'd like to think I would have learned a lot of what I've learned along the way, but I don't know. Like the way waiting and continuing to grind and learn about yourself through all of this process affects you, yeah, I feel quite like the timing feels good, you know? And
Mm.
even to the point where if this happened to me 5 years ago, I would be on tenterhooks every waking breath. I wouldn't be able to relax my body enough to sleep. I wouldn't be able to like think about other projects probably. I would just be like quite frenetic in my head. Whereas like we've been doing this for so long, I'm kind of like, obviously, I'm like, we're fucking selling it. But there's
Well,
the part of
yes.
you that knows that if you don't, you're going to be okay. You have other books
Yes.
in you and all of that. And kind of going into it with like that knowledge is priceless to me. Like last night, I had the best sleep I've had in months. Like I've had a little bit of insomnia over the month just because things are exciting. It's been a lot. And it just, yeah. But I cracked down on my self-care. Last night, I just made a sleepy herbal tea and I was out, had the best sleep ever. I think I wouldn't have been able to do that 5 years ago. There would have been no
Mm.
tea. There would have been not enough CBD in the world to relax my nervous system. So, yeah, the call went great. Sorry, she went on 20 side quests. I'm
No,
so
we love
sorry.
our side quests, especially when you're talking about mental health and like and taking care of yourself first because these are such like frazzled
Yeah,
times in your career and life because
that's it.
it's the start of something so big. It's something that you've been working toward for so long and you're here. So of course your body's going to be like all over the place. But now
Yeah.
because you've been through all of the things and you've learned how to take care of yourself, like you're ready for it. And of
Mhm.
course you'll still have days where you're going to feel all the feels and they're not going to always
Yeah.
feel good because we've all faced rejections no matter what, but you'll have the tools to keep going and to
Yeah.
stay in the mindset of like, okay, moving on or whatever, or I can get ready to be excited. It's like you're ready for whatever's to come.
Yeah.
And hell yes. I am so freaking excited for you, Melanie, because again, you've been working so hard for this, but you're ready. And I know the book is ready. And like you're in the big leagues with your big like your beautiful book. And so like it's
Making me
happening.
cry.
It's
I love you so
happening.
much, and it's so surreal and wonderful to be able to celebrate like this with you in real time. Like, seriously, I couldn't have got here without you. Like, you've been such a priceless part of my community. Like, yeah, because there is so many moments, like, even like, speaking of periods, like talking about periods, like mine can be bitches, like bitches from hell. And like, I'm not gonna lie, when I got my period this month and my insomnia was really shit for 1 week, and I had this moment of despair where I was like, oh my God, like this is what I was afraid of, that I would reach and it would be too far for my abilities
Mm.
and that I would suffer again. Like, so like I've said, I don't say it lightly that I survived a severe nervous breakdown. Like, I have clawed my way back out of the fucking depths of hell. And mental health isn't just a cute catchphrase for me. Like, but yeah, so when I got my period and yeah, excitement and there's a lot of unknowns, right? And it was hard. For a second, I was like, shit, is this going to get worse? Is this going to be less sleep? Is this going to be more anxiety? Rah, rah, rah. And then I just did what I've always done now that she's therapized and she has her tools. I cracked down on my tools. I ate my bloody bone broth until I was sick of it because that always helps me on my period. Bone broth is like fucking the universe's gift to mankind on periods. And I did my meditations religiously. I ironed out my nervous tensions with yoga. And yeah, last night I had a fucking herbal tea and it put me to sleep like a doll because I spent the last 2 weeks doing rigorous self-care, yeah? You can't just
Yeah.
fall asleep on herbal tea if your nervous system is at a 10. And it never
Mm.
got to 10, and I'm proud of that. And that's the thing, looking back in that moment of despair when I had my period and things were super intense, I can now look back and be like, wow, it didn't even get that bad. You managed that like a fucking bad bitch. You've made me too powerful with my bad. So I've been doing those bad bitch meditations hype version that you gave me, and I dance in the living
Yes.
room while I do it. You've made me too powerful.
It works. It freaking yes, it
It
makes you
works.
you
Even
are
the
a bad
smallest.
bitch. There's no denying it.
Literally, literally, I find myself thinking it in like most random moments because when you're having like a negative self-talk, your brain will sweep in and be like, no, you're a bad bitch. You
Yes.
reprogram the brain is very elastic, and I am living proof you can rewire your brain with effort to tell yourself a lot of positive messages, even if some days they don't feel true. But yeah, I'm
Right.
so,
No.
so grateful to be here celebrating this moment with you. And I'm going to celebrate it fucking hard, no matter what comes next, because it doesn't change the amount of work that it took. Whatever comes next will never change how much work I put in to get here, won't change how much I love this book. And yeah, let's fucking celebrate it. I'm going on
Hell
submission tomorrow.
yes.
Like, what the fuck?
Yes, you are. Yes, you are. Oh my gosh. I'm trying to think back like when I did it. Larissa asked me like, how do you want to go about this? Like, do you want me to
Mm.
tell you
Yeah, what did you do?
every I told her I want to know nothing. And
Mm,
I feel like it was a blessing and a curse because and I think your mind's just going to constantly go to all the what ifs and just
yeah.
constantly, whatever, but I I said just tell me the good things and she said okay and then I didn't hear from her. But yeah, I like at first I didn't tell her I didn't want to know who we were subbing to,
Yeah.
any of that stuff. And I think partially it was good because then I wasn't cyber stalking every
Yes.
editor and publishing house. But it's also that's how my brain works. Like I'm fine
Mm,
with not knowing, and I know other friends who need to know everything or they're not fine.
mm,
So I think it's like you have to know you and what makes you feel comfortable, and then you kind of
mm,
move
mm.
around that space. For me, it's like I like to live in the land of delusion and just there's things happening. But I totally know that there are that's not for everybody.
Yeah. I think I wouldn't, yeah, I don't know. I honestly think I could adapt to either. I'm used to queries have prepared me for rejections to float in. But I think I want to just focus on the positive, you know? Maybe for
Yeah.
me, it's not that I can't handle that. And I might decide I think for a little while at least, I don't want to hear it. I just want to ride on the cloud of like, this is going to get snapped up in the next few months, and that's it.
Yeah.
I think after that, maybe like at the 3 month mark, if it wasn't immediately snapped up because people were just a bit busy, and because publishing runs as slow as a you know beached whale on the sand, um, then yeah, then I would maybe want updates about if there was rejections or if we were doing another round or whatever. So, but yeah,
Yeah. I think
it's
that's a good plan.
yeah, I've got my bad bitch meditations, affirmations, and I've got my energy of attraction, manifestation, meditations, which now that I'm done with all these deadlines, I'm really going to crack down on it. So I hope you'll crack down with me. Um,
Yes, I'm ready.
yeah, and just keep our mindsets in a good place. Yeah, you can't really control what happens, but you can kind of control your own energy, and that's what I want to do. And just keep working hard, keep trying to have fun along the way, and yeah, I'm actually going to take a break now and do nothing, unless something floats in from either Castle of Horror or from an editor. So I'm going to take the rest of this week off, and then next week Phil and I have got a holiday booked by the beach for the first time in like honestly nearly a decade. It's like hard to admit. When we took that big trip to Japan, I don't think I knew it would be this long. But
Mhm.
I can't regret all the years I've poured into getting on top of my mental health and into writing. And we've had a lot of fun along the way, but it's fucking high time to just actually take a holiday and a break. And I think, yeah, my goal is to have more of that this year and moving on. So,
Yes, you deserve it. Both of you guys deserve it.
yeah.
After the videos you made for me for a
I
cool
was
thirst,
just,
I
when I was having
approve
a
of this.
down moment, I was watching them again and they're fun.
They're so good. They're so good. So yeah, you guys deserve it. And you have been grinding so hard. So to go on an actual vacation, or as I believe you guys say, holiday. Do you guys say
We
that?
do say holiday.
Okay,
Holidays.
go on a little holly, and enjoy yourselves, and you deserve it. And because this is our year of living in the now and
Mm,
not constantly festering on publishing, which going into submission might be rather hard, but you're a bad
mm.
bitch, so you'll be fine.
I'm a bad bitch, and I have queens like you who have gone ahead before me to like light the way, so I don't feel like I'm just stumbling through the dark in this part of the journey. So, yeah, like it's
Yes.
not nothing. Like you are like a guiding light in the industry for me, and I'm so fucking like yeah, my community around me. I'm so grateful for you all, and yeah, I'm excited for this year and on all the good things to come and yeah, how have you been? Oh my gosh, how are your revisions going?
They're going
What
good,
was
I
that
think.
laugh?
I don't know. I don't know. They're going good, I think. It's
Mm,
hard I it's hard to trust it. Because it's not feeling as like soul-crushingly hard as
mm,
revisions have gone in the past. And
I
so I
see.
think I'm like, wait,
Mm.
waiting for like the whatever the shoe to drop or
Yeah,
whatever the
yeah.
freaking term is. So it's going is that waiting for the ball to
I
drop?
I love how you persist trying to say metaphors even when you're not sure they're the right one. You really love a metaphor and you really commit to them and then you always doubt yourself. I will happily inform you that was the correct metaphor
Was
today.
it? Okay.
Yeah, well done.
Okay, good. Thank you. Thank you. I've been waiting for the shoe to drop but it has been, knock on wood,
Yeah.
easy stuff. Not easy, but it hasn't been terrible yet, my revision.
Mm,
So I'm getting into the final 100 pages, which is the area, the act that probably
mm.
needs the most work, and I really want
Yeah.
to dig in. But I like timing wise, I'm doing really, really well.
You're killing it. I can't believe you're in the
So
final act.
yeah, the first 100 pages are due this week.
Yep.
So I think tomorrow I'm gonna stop like chugging through and then just re-listen to
Mm,
the first bit, the first 100 pages, and then I'll send it in. But yeah, I think it's good. I think it's okay.
yeah.
It's a lot. It feels different than A Cruel Thirst.
Mm.
Um,
In
I'm
what
not
way?
I don't like I feel like the inner stakes are bigger with this
Mm.
one, but like the physical stakes aren't necessarily like we're gonna die.
Ooh. Ooh, she's giving K-drama vibes. Like the internal
Yes.
stakes are sky high, but it could be set
Yes.
anywhere. It could just be in an office. You know what I mean? Like K-drama
Yes.
does that so well, and I'm ready to feel a
Yeah.
Montoya book do that to me. But yeah, I feel like you do that really
Yes.
well, but I'm excited to see you expand on that.
Thank you. Yeah, my goal, honestly, I really want to just like rip people's little hearts out for this book. But
I
the
hear
but
that
the
a
end,
lot in your
I
okay, like
do.
when you do your post your stories, a common thread that I see in your fans is when Angela Montoya rips your heart out with XYZ, and I'm just like, okay. She's getting, that's
I
like not
want
a
to do
bad
it.
reputation to have, my friend.
I want to do it. I want to, like, I feel like with A Cruel Thirst, like, I made people feel giddy and giggly. And I feel like
Mm.
with Sinner's Isle, I wanted to make readers feel like
Swoony.
ferocious and like swoony and just like,
Yeah.
yeah. But with this one, I just want to like crush people.
All hail God Montoya.
Just want to crush him just a little bit, and then I'll
Yeah.
bring it all in. But the ending, it's like a lot. Like the beginning feels very much more personal stakes. The ending of the book is sort of life and death stakes.
Mm.
So I'm building up to it. So we shall see. But the cover, I've got like the cover renderings for Carnival Fantastico, and it's gonna be to die for.
There are no words that I can utter right now, but
Yeah.
holy fuck.
Yeah, it's gonna be absolutely to die for. I mean,
Mm.
the artist is God tier craft person. Like so good. So
I'm
things are
so
going good.
excited. I want it in my hot little hands as soon as you finish this revision. I'm so, so excited to see what you've done with it because I read a very early draft of it and I was obsessed with that. So I can only imagine what you've done since then. Like, I need it. I
Fingers
want it.
crossed.
And then
Yes.
you're gonna
Send me
work
your
on,
book too.
hey,
Send me your book too. I want
oh
to
my,
read it again.
it's changed a
What's
lot.
the
I'm
official?
excited.
I freaking I know it has, and I am pumped about it. What's the official title? Are we
Yeah,
announcing the
we're
official title? What
querying
is
it
the?
as Beyond Love.
Okay, perfect.
Beyond Love, one
Perfect.
word. And
Ah,
spoiler for our dear listeners, that's the name of the ghost hotel in my book.
yes. So good. Yeah,
That
send
felt
it to
like
me
a
because
mic
I'll
drop.
listen to it. It was a mic drop
Yeah.
moment.
Yes,
Yeah.
I would love that. And I don't know if it's too spoilery, but there may be a little, I feel like our listeners should be allowed to know that there is a little hat nod to a certain character from Sinner's Isle that appears in my
Yeah.
book. A little nerd Easter egg. For fans of Sinner's Isle, because yeah, she came to
Yeah.
me and she was like, I want to be in this book. And
I
God
love it.
Angela gave me permission to allow that. And yeah, hopefully it's on shelves and we can give Sinner's Isle a little. I'll have to put something when it's published, I'll have to put something like wanna know more about this character's story or a story in
Oh
another
my God.
lifetime. Obviously I'll have to put
Yeah.
something.
We're gonna have a multiverse situation, a
Yeah. Oh my
pop-up
gosh.
persuasion crossover event extravaganza.
I love that.
Yes, it's happening.
It's
I
happening.
cannot believe you're going on submission
Oh
tomorrow.
my
I'm
gosh.
so excited for you.
I get
Ah!
butterflies every time you say it because it's like my brain just blanks it out. And then I'm like, wait, I didn't. You know what's crazy? About a year ago, I had a vivid dream, a vivid, that I was like, got agented. I was on a call. I was having the best call with my agent. I was in tears and I couldn't believe how much I loved her. And that's never happened to me before. And I woke up and I was like, I fucking love my agent, rah, rah, rah. And it took, it was sad that day. It took me like a few minutes before I realized it was a dream. It was pre being agented and everything. But now I experience the reverse. Now I kind of like forget that this is happening in real time and I have to remind myself the reverse. So, but it's not a bad position to be in. Not
No, it's probably for the best if you forget sometimes.
literally. We should probably read the bio of our amazing
Yes.
guest today.
Okay. Ali Terese writes funny and heartfelt middle grade and YA stories. Free Period by Scholastic Press is her debut novel. In a middle grade story of friendship and period equity, complete with laugh out loud shenanigans, delightfully disgusting desserts, and some world-changing crafts. Free Period was longlisted for the National Book Award, received a starred review from School Library Journal, and an Earphones Award by Audiophile Magazine. It was also selected for the 2025 Texas Lone Star Reading List and the 24-25 Chicago Public Schools Battle of the Books.
Mm.
The fun continues in fall 2025 when Allie launches her next middle grade comedy, Vote for the Goat with Aladdin, an imprint of Simon and Schuster. Visit Allie online for book bonuses, giveaways, and resources with discussion guides, recipes, craft, craftivism,
That's a hard.
craftivism
I didn't know
projects.
that was a word.
It's a new one because Allie is so clever. She came up with
Um,
craftivism,
like
which I love.
activism.
Yeah, that's good. I don't know if she made that word up, but I'm just gonna give it to Allie.
I'm gonna give it to
Um,
her.
yeah, craftivism projects and more at allyterese.com.
Mm. Yeah, and I just feel like we said, her book is just so cool and so important. And I think anyone who menstruates wishes they had this book at that age. Like, it's so, yeah, so needed. And like, I don't know about you, but damn, like, it sounds like we grew up similar with absolutely no adult discussion about it in our homes.
Yes.
Literally was it was like the way people fear like supernatural things I feared periods. Like I was fucking terrified. Like I literally, this is so embarrassing, but it's good to share these stories. I literally remember being so afraid. There was a time in school, in high school, because I got mine, I guess, later than some girls, where I would like, oh, of course, we wore these little tiny pale blue summer dress, white and baby blue summer dresses.
Dangerous.
And I was so
Dangerous.
anxious because a friend of mine had gotten hers, and then she had to wear a sweater all over. Of course, we never discussed that. She just had a sweater around her waist all day. And then sometimes the teachers would get people in trouble. Why are you wearing shorts? Why have you got that sweater on? Don't do that. Like there was no mercy for it. I used to hike my skirt up slowly in class over my ass, and I'd wear little shorts under it. So if I had a period disaster, it wouldn't be on the back of my little skirt. It was low-key genius. But also,
Yeah,
I'm sure
that's very smart.
I'm sure somebody was like, what the fuck is she doing? But I was slow, I'd really slowly creep it up over my butt, so my butt was just on the seat. So if it happened, I
So
was
smart.
ready. But yeah, it's very taboo.
Yes. So smart of you though to do that for yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was excited. Like I said, I
Yes.
got the little I was so
You
excited
had your
when I
booklet?
I had my booklet because I kind of was late too,
Mm.
late bloomer or whatever. So I
Yeah.
had my little booklet, and all my other friends had it, and so had started their period.
You
So
were
I had my
ready.
booklet, and I was like scheduling the day. I was like, okay,
I
this is
love that.
happening. So yeah, I even like recovered the booklet so nobody knew I had the book, and I
That's
kept
so
it with
cute.
me.
That is so cute. Oh my
That's
gosh. I wish I
embarrassing.
had friends like you in high school. We did not talk about it. No one talked about it, which is why I'm just like, yes, we need books like this. And I'm so glad, just in general, the attitude these days has completely changed. Like,
Wow, she is on time.
it is on time. Thank goodness I sent the link. I was like, oh, I'll send it earlier so that I don't have to fuck around with that. Yeah, I got mine too.
Yeah, you just reminded me.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, good job. Good job being prepared.
Thank you. I got mine too. It's one of my favorite things. She's here. Shall I
Yes.
let her in?
Okay. Yes, so we could brag all about it. Hi,
How are
uterus.
you?
Uterus is up.
Uterus is up, baby.
The cuterest crew.
Uterus. That is so cute.
How
Yeah.
are
Oh,
you?
good. And we also have our bracelets, right,
Oh,
Mel?
yay. Oh, I forgot to wear mine. Okay. Well, I'll
It's
just keep my
okay.
hands down.
Yeah.
I
You're
am,
the I'm no, Melanie and I were just bragging about this, how much we loved your package that you sent us.
Oh, yay. Thank you.
yes,
Yeah.
and I cannot look away from the simply enormous uterus behind you.
Yeah. Oh, she's not even the biggest one. The biggest one is
Stop.
3 feet.
Can we see
Yeah, the
her? Is
biggest one
she
is 3 feet.
nearby?
She's adorable and she's so cuddly. So yeah, I have a 3 foot crew, and the tampon is 3 feet tall, the pad is 3 feet tall, and then the blood drop is like 1 foot.
Amazing.
Wow.
Now, I mean, How did this how did this come to be where you this like are you crocheting these yourself?
Yes. Yeah. So the crocheting started before the book.
Okay.
When I was in my early 20s, I started crocheting uteruses because my friends were getting feminist studies degrees and things like that. And I wanted to have some fun way to celebrate that. And I had started crocheting way, way back when I was a little girl. My grandma taught me.
Aw.
And one of my favorite parts of the yarn arts is that you can just look at something and come up with a way to make it. You're basically sculpting with yarn. So when I
Really?
was writing a period book, I was like, oh, is there a way to get the crochet uteruses in here? And when you read the book, you'll see the crochet uteruses play a pivotal role in the plot. So it's both a fun thing that's a conversation starter, and it's important for the girls when in the plot of the book. And it was very funny. I was walking around Brooklyn one day with this enormous 3 foot tall uterus, and some man stops me. They're great conversation starters. Some man stops me. He's like, "You're just doing that for attention." And I was like, "Yeah, exactly. I am doing it for attention. I want us to talk about uteruses and periods and all the things that people go through when they menstruate. So yeah, I will walk down the street with this 3 foot tall uterus. Thank you."
Yes,
Hell yes.
absolutely, you should. I love your response to that. You were ready.
Yeah.
Like, damn, yes, I am. That's exactly right. I freaking love that. Okay, well, I don't know if this has already answered this question that I'm gonna ask, or maybe not. Maybe not. But what is the strangest thing that you own?
This is not the strangest thing that I own. At least in my mind, this is totally normal. Um, so yeah, I was thinking about it. The strangest thing I own is this pencil drawing that my grandparents had made of me when I was like a year and a half old, which in and of itself is like a really sweet thing, except it somehow ended up with me. And I can't put it on the wall because I can't put this weird pencil drawing of myself, like, from toddlerhood on the wall. It feels weird. But I also can't get rid of it. I can't because it's like, oh, it's this act of love and some artist created it. So I'm in this limbo with this drawing of me as a baby. And I feel like I try to be really good about like not putting stuff on my own child. Like, I try to keep things moving through the house, but I have a feeling she's gonna now have to deal with this weird picture when I'm gone.
Wait, how big is it? I am bamboozled that the pencil drawing feels like the weirdest thing that you own.
It's
Yeah, what does it
really
look
big.
like?
It's
Okay,
it's
it's
bigger
huge.
than
Oh,
any art that I have in my house. It's
okay.
I want to say like with the frame it's like 3 feet by 4 feet.
Oh, okay. It's a
Yeah.
commitment. It's
Yeah.
a commitment for your wall. You can't just put it
Yeah.
anywhere.
Yeah, plus if someone's like, "Oh, is that your kid?" Like, "No, that's me. That's me as a baby
That
in
is
my
so
weird
funny.
pencil 80s glory."
Yes, that is hilarious. You know what's funny though? One of my little sisters has a pencil drawing of herself, but she like loves her like she loves it so much. She just loves everything about herself so
Oh
much.
my God, that's wonderful.
Like anything that's about her, she's like, this is the best thing ever. And so she has hers framed like huge on her
Oh,
wall.
I love it. That's wonderful.
Yeah, all you have to do is get her a gift that like represents her, and she's like, this is it. I'm that fabulous.
I love that for her so much. Maybe it can be
Yeah.
the inspo for you to claim that wall finally.
Maybe,
I
yeah,
have to
yeah. I'll have to give
ask.
you an update.
Yes,
Yes,
you deserve an entire wall just for your sketches. Yes.
maybe this is an unfair question to ask, but is it not good? Like, is it good or is it not good? And that's part of the issue.
No, it's beautiful. That's one of the
Oh,
reasons I feel bad to give it away. Like
Yeah.
I don't know who did it. I wish I had the story behind it, but I guess it could
mm.
have been done from a photo too, but like someone really took the time to put my teensy face in these like beautiful pencil strokes. Yeah.
Well, we have to see this picture at one point. You'll have to post it because
Yes,
we need to know.
for sure.
And hopefully see it on your walls, perhaps in your bathroom. You know, that's always a good
Yeah.
spot. It's always a great spot for a sketch of a child.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. That's not
Nothing
right.
helps you rustle up a shit like looking at a pencil drawing of yourself as an infant, right?
Right.
Exactly. Exactly.
Well, I'm
Ah.
excited to know now what is something you think about way too often.
Probably publishing since this whole
Mm,
thing started.
that's valid.
Um,
That's valid.
yeah, I feel like there's that line where it's like, does this become your entire thought process or your entire personality? So how do you make sure that doesn't happen while
Mm.
still actively pursuing it as a career? And I don't know if other careers have the same. I haven't felt like other things I've done have had the same risk factor for that. But I really do feel like you could spend all of your time thinking about this. So that's one of my goals in 25, especially now that I've been through this for one book, is to try to be more balanced and hopefully think about publishing less.
Yes. Oh my gosh.
Mm.
Yes. That's also one of my goals for this year is like just to consume more and like the enjoy the things more. Enjoy
Yes.
life more because
Yeah.
it's so freaking true. Like it can become this thing where it's like you wake up thinking about it, you're eating and thinking about it, you're sleeping, you're dreaming about it. It's so all consuming and it's wild. So yeah, I'm glad that that you're thinking about yourself as well this year.
Yeah, and I feel like it's, because I know we have friends that are on all different stages and we've been through all different stages. And I keep feeling like at each stage you think like, okay, that's over now. Now I'm just gonna feel like I have this figured out, whether it's the writing, getting agented, getting published, all that stuff. And it seems like
Mm.
there you could spend all your time thinking about this no matter what stage you're at. And even when you talk to, really seasoned published authors, you get such a mix of people who are both over it and people who are like, nope, I still read every review. I'm still touched by everything that's said about me. So I don't know if there's an easy answer, but I think it is a good thing for us to at least be aware of and work on, so that, yeah, like you said, we're still full human beings, not just trying to be writing marketing machines.
Mm. And I honestly think that that's when we write our best work anyway. Like, if you're just in that zone the whole time, I think it kind of freezes you up and you
Yeah.
kind of you lose that magical sparkle that drew you to this in the first place. Like, what we might as well enjoy it. Like, we picked this career because it was like different and exciting. And like, if you're miserable and just like constantly swept up in the work part of it, there's kind of no point in pursuing
Yeah.
if it's
I think you totally lose
always
the
that.
magic. Yeah,
Yeah,
and the
yeah, yeah.
fun. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm.
And that's what we're doing it for. Well, maybe. I mean, that brings me to my question is, did you always want to be a writer? Like, what got you into doing this? Like, tell us a little bit about your journey.
Yeah, I don't know if I always wanted to be a writer. When I was a little girl, I wanted to be a botanist. I wanted to work with plants. But like as a grown up, I was one of those people that like instead of arguing with sports on the TV, like I would argue with murder mysteries.
Mm.
And so it was definitely one of those things where with my husband, he's like, well, why don't you write one? I don't know if he was trying to get me to shut up to stop arguing with the TV. So that's where I started. Gosh, that might be like 15 years ago now, is that I tried to write an adult mystery.
Wow.
And I did like every single mistake that you could possibly think of. Like, I think she woke from a dream and saw herself in a mirror, and like literally every single list of things you could do wrong. But I feel like that's how we learned to write. And then, of course, thank goodness no one published it. So as I worked on more things, I just found that I was like, oh, I think my natural voice is in middle grade.
Mm.
And my natural voice is in comedy for tweens and teens. And so this project, I guess I should say what this is. I was just like yelling about uteruses in Greenpoint. But yeah, so this project is Free Period. It's a middle grade comedy about friendship and period equity that's out now from Scholastic. And as you can tell when I say periods, I'm talking about menstrual blood. So in this book, there's two chaos monsters who are fighting to get maxi pads in all school bathrooms for all students who menstruate. But because it's a comedy, they have wildly weird crafts like the uteruses. They have delightfully disgusting desserts like maxi pad cupcakes that gross out the grown-ups. And there's all kinds of friendship banter. And I've worked on this probably for, I'd say, like the last full decade.
Wow.
And the journey began with the question of what would happen if two besties had totally different experiences with their periods? which I feel like happens to so many of us. It's too
Oh yeah.
early, it's too late, it's too much, you know.
Yeah.
So, and then always part of the story was the equity part. There was always this character, she's the type A character in the book named Madison, who was trying to get back pads in the bathrooms at school. And I was really lucky to be part of Pitch Wars. And I had this incredible mentor, Rebecca Petruck, who is a middle grade author, but she's also an editor. And she gave me this great challenge. She was like, what if all of those girls had to work together, the type A and the chaos monster? And I was like, no way, they don't like each other. They wouldn't work together. And I know you guys know how this works. Like you get to like sit there and think, and they give you the grace to go like, oh yeah, 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 no, that's exactly what I should do.
Yeah.
So that years into this project, taking what had been like a subplot and raising it up to be the main plot really opened the whole story up to the relationships that the girls had. And so in the end, the book is a lot about something I hope all of my work goes towards, which is how can we work with people who are different from us to create change? Because
Mm.
what we find a lot of times is that we can create something better together with people who have different skills than we could have ever done on our own.
Mm.
Yep. Yes. I was gonna say period. I didn't want to be too on
Yeah.
the nose, but period. Yes, period. Exclamation point. All of it.
Mm.
I freaking love that. Now, so Pitch Wars for you, was that like the pivotal moment where it kind of clicked for this story, or were you that was when it all kind of happened? And then after Pitch Wars, we have the showcase. Like, can you take us from Pitch Wars onto where we are now?
Yeah, so I don't actually I had queried other books before this one. So
Okay.
there was my adult book that I'm glad no one published, but I had written a couple of middle grades before this that I thought were good, but it was definitely now I look back on it, I'm like, that's where I was finding my voice. So
Mm.
my writing is very voicey. I write first person point of view alternating between characters. So just for anyone who else is out there, that's you're inside the person's head. It's I, everything is through their eyes. And so you have to make sure that you're really seeing the world as that person sees it, and you're thinking the kind of things they think. So I
Mm.
realize now, like all those earlier things that, I'm one of those people that had like 300 rejections. I have the big spreadsheet, or the pile or whatever. That was to find my voice, and I feel like this story combines that voice that I finally developed with a story of my heart, and and then having Rebecca ask me those tough questions about the character development is what made it all come together. So
Mm.
so then I ended up querying after. So there was the showcase where we got requests, and then there was querying, and I was like just racking up, rejections again, getting again like, oh, love the voice, all that kind of stuff. And then I ended up signing, and that agent sold this book and sold my next book, which is called Vote for the Goat,
Cute.
about the cutest goat on earth named Babette. That's coming out from Simon and Schuster's Aladdin imprint this fall. So those two things sold, and then I worked as all that was happening, I was working with my editor at Scholastic to edit this book, and it went on sale this past March, so like 9 months in. And since then, absolutely amazing things have happened that I are really beyond my wildest dreams. This was nominated for the National Book Award. It was a starred review from School Library Journal. It was recently named to the Texas Lone Star reading list, and the amazing audiobook from that's narrated by Josephine Wang and Cassandra Morris was an Audiophile Earphones Award winner.
Wow.
And when I just think like back when we were in Pitch Wars, and it's like, is this someone going to pick me? Am I going to be able to get these edits done in 2 months? Am I like, what's going to happen in the showcase? When I think back to those things and the 13 years of writing that even came before it. Yeah, it's more than I could have ever imagined. But I think if you told most people, like, oh, it took me a decade to do this, they'd be like, whoa, that's too long.
Hmm.
So I don't know. I think like if I look back on all this, I just would like say to myself, although I myself wouldn't listen, I'm sure, it's going to take as long as it takes, and it's going to meander but I don't know if I could have had a better outcome if it had
Mm.
happened quicker or if it had happened easier.
Mm. Yeah, and it's wild because it was one sentence that you said that you had racked up 300 rejections, but living through that is quite something else. Like that's yeah, it's like it's a wild part of this. Like how has that been for you going from, experiencing like a decade of rejections to where you are now?
Um, yeah, I don't know. Like, again, it would be nice to have like just publish like the first thing, the first time around without any rejections. But like this entire industry is full of rejection.
Yeah.
And not even so much in like a mean way, although some people can be mean, but in a way of like we're selling a product, tons of people are making that product, and we have to like winnow down
Mm,
to which products are going to be sold. So I I try to like keep myself, to the extent I can, separate from, say the rejection of an individual reader who is like, ew, this is like for kids. Why would I read this? To the rejection of you go on submission and it's not right or people don't like it. So
mm,
I don't know. I don't wish 300 rejections on anyone, but I think it does prepare you to be really pragmatic
mm.
in what you want from this.
Yeah.
And also, you can know there were times when I stopped. I had like a lot of health issues along the way and just like obviously life issues along the way. Like you said, we're actually living real lives while we're doing this.
Mm,
And you can say like I can stop. And I think when if you ever decide to stop along what we would consider the publishing process, it doesn't mean you're not an artist. It doesn't mean you're not a writer, but it can mean for that amount of time, like I can't participate in this industry. And all the stress and rejection that goes along with it. It doesn't mean that you're never, going to be able to pick up again if you want to.
mm.
Mm-hmm. Has there been anything that has surprised you, like about this industry in particular, as you've been in it now this many years?
Yeah. Um, I think like so on the good side of surprising is that I was really lucky that with this book I got to go to 5 different trade shows um, with different booksellers around the country. And I really got to see the magic of the Scholastic sales force
Mm.
working with the booksellers because that's something really important that I think I didn't appreciate before is to understand the different relationships that go into getting these books to the people who sell them. And because I write Kidlit, it's going to be independent booksellers who are hand selling our books, librarians, teachers. I got to see the library marketing team of Scholastic in action and to just see the trust that's built over time about these stories are going to be the ones that serve your readers. So that's been really amazing to see. I think
Yeah.
probably the flip side of that is even as long as it took to get here, I didn't realize how long it would take once you sold a book. So, um, and now my next book is going to be, I think, about a year and a half after my first book. So even that's an amount of time. So yeah, so but I think these are like things we know. Like people will tell you, oh, it'll be 2 years. And you can be like, I understand what 2 years is. But when you're in it, it's like, oh, this feels like 200 years. So I think there's been lots of surprises, good and a little like, oh, how does the universe work this way?
The universe moves slowly
Yeah.
sometimes. But I
Especially,
think also it's like going through querying the rejections also is teaching you in a way like patience sometimes too because literally you have no other option but to
Yeah.
be patient or to
Yeah.
work on something else while you're waiting. You find these different like coping mechanisms as you're navigating this like weird ass industry. Do you have any advice for middle grade and like picture book authors in particular on how to market their books and find their readers? Maybe they can't make it to these conventions. Has there been anything that you've noticed works for you? Sending
Yeah.
uteruses around.
Um, okay, so this might be weird, but the first thing I'm gonna say is like, don't put pressure on yourself.
I love
Like
that.
we there is very little we can do as authors for Kidlit to sell books at retail.
Hmm.
And something that I tell myself literally every week is keep your eyes on your type of book. Because what adults say in genre, like in romance, mystery, sci-fi, are doing to sell books has absolutely nothing to do with how I sell books. And so I think that's something that I think is like as soon as you sell your book, if you're in one of those waiting periods, look at how your book is sold at retail. Because if you're, say, in middle grade, you might notice, wow, the majority of these sales are actually to libraries and schools. And I'm in a weird spot where our readers are 8 to 12. So you know they have big opinions about what they read, but they're not the buyers. Our buyers are teachers, librarians, and parents. And
Mm.
so, say you are an adult author. I subscribe to a bunch of newsletters. Oh great, my favorite author has a new book out. I'm gonna click on there. Our readers would never see that newsletter, right? So we're trying to build relationships with librarians, with teachers, and honestly, that comes even before parents because parents are going to age out as the kids age out. So I would say for my kidlit friends, look at how books like yours are being sold and then see how you can add value. So if anyone would like to, you can go to aliterese.com and you can see the materials that I made for teachers, parents, librarians to use. Everything from discussion guides to
Mm.
instructions on how to make these, to period party ideas, lesson plans for teachers, and see like, okay, instead of maybe making videos on a platform that aren't really going to get to my readers, is it better that I make materials like that and then connect with librarians who can use them?
Mm. I love it. I love hearing this kind of business side of things. It's all very fascinating. Would you say you talked a little bit about your inspiration for the book? Was there something specific that inspired this particular story?
Yeah, so it started with my who is my own child who's now a middle grade reader, but because this happened so long ago, we ended up talking about periods like I don't know 1,000 years before I thought we were going to because if you live with
Mm.
a menstruating person and you're tiny, it's hard to keep from them that you're having a period. And I realized as I was trying to explain it, when you're explaining it to like a toddler, it sounds just wild. Like they have no concept of what you're talking about. And I think even for most people, if you're like, oh, you're gonna bleed out of there once a month, don't worry about it, like totally normal. Um, it is, it is interesting and weird and stuff. And so
Mm.
I was like, how am I gonna do this in a positive way? Because when I was a kid, I had a terrible experience with periods. Everything from the shame of having accidents to having real medical challenges with them.
Mm.
And I was like, how am I going to talk about this? And at the time, there was this like really period positive movement with having parties and having it as a celebration, which in a number of even cultures is like a normal thing to do. It's very typical. But I just found like, I think because I still have trauma about it, that's not something I was connecting to. So I was like, how am I going to talk about this in a positive way that's authentic to me? And
Mm.
what I kept coming back to was friendship. So it was my friends that I laughed with to get through this stuff. And so a big goal in this book was to have the girls like reclaim the humor of the shared experience without being the butt of the joke. So
Mm.
no one in here is being dismissed like, oh, maybe she's just on her period. But they do make cuterus uterus t-shirts and draw little uteruses in eyeliner, on their eyelids. And so that's really important to me. I think especially for girls is to know that they can find humor. It's not that they're not allowed to laugh about these things. It's
Mhm.
that they are not going to be the subject of the laughter anymore, and they're not going to be dismissed,
Mm.
with those jokes.
Yes, we're laughing with you, not at you type vibe. It's very, very different. And at that age, it feels so sharp when it's the other way. Like you can really feel that when you're kind of the butt of the joke for something. And yeah, 100%. I also grew up in a environment where like I can't even think that I ever discussed periods with any of the senior women until we were like much, much older. And then it was like even then they will say it in hushed voices, you know? It's very, very
Right.
taboo. And yeah, I really think it's such an important book and it's such an important thing to destigmatize. So thank you for writing
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
My pleasure.
No, seriously, I just think of myself at that age. I would have loved a book like this,
Yeah.
and needed a book like this. I remember we had like, I think it was in junior high when we had sex ed, and they separate the girls and the boys, and we learned about periods and all that stuff, and they gave us this booklet, and I loved that booklet so much because no one in my family, like we never talked about it. And so this is like my only resource was this,
Right.
very bland, by the book little booklet about menstruating. And for some reason I was like, this is so cool. I didn't know this was going to happen. I mean, I had ideas, but I didn't know this is how it was working. And so yeah, to like be able to have it discussed with humor and with friendship, I think is so beautiful and
Mm.
empowering, especially for young menstruating people that this who probably perhaps might not have talked about it, um, aren't seeing that there is a lighter side of things where you can just
Mm.
joke about it and it can be awkward, of course, but it can be
Mm.
less awkward when we get to just
Yeah.
bond over these situations, which I just love so, so much that you wrote this story. Can we talk a little bit more about book two? I, are you gonna crochet goats for us this round? Tell us a little bit about
I
the book.
believe we just witnessed a
Okay,
crochet
so
Yeah.
goat.
so
We
that was
Right?
you did that.
Yes, I
Oh
I
made
my
thought
these.
that was
God.
like I thought that was from the store.
No, 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 no. I made these. So all of the Cuterus Uterus crew for free period, I made very simple patterns for. So the idea is that if you were in a craft club, like a lot of seventh and eighth graders have knitting clubs at their schools, if you wanted to, you could crochet these. And it's not so hard because they're they're basically shapes. Like a uterus is like an upside down light bulb with some arms. This is a drop. I don't have the other guys here, but a tampon is a tube and a maxi pad is like two rectangles together. So Babette, and I'll tell you about book two. She's a little tougher because she has, limbs. She's not like a uterus. So I'm still trying to come up with a fun craft for kids. I have some ideas. I've been working it out. But basically, the book is called Vote for the Goat, and it is out August 26th with Aladdin, which is an imprint of Simon and Schuster. It is another middle grade comedy, and in this case, it's a heist. And the issue is bodily autonomy, which for me, I thought was a good follow-up to period equity. And so in this book, there's two kids who are wrongfully accused of stealing their school's mascot, which is Somerset Babette.
Oh,
And so they assemble a ragtag crew of kids to go back and steal her back from where she is to clear their names. And then they set about truly setting her free because they don't think that a little goat should have to live at their school. And along the way, they learn really how to stand up for Babette. And then in doing that, stand up for themselves so that they're advocating for the decisions that they're making about their own bodies and their own health. And so I think the goal again is to address what can be a tough issue with a lot of humor. And it's absolutely a wild ride. There's tons of jokes, physical comedy, banter, and I really hope that kids are going to love it.
Wow. It
it sounds
sounds
so good.
very, yeah, another very important book. And yeah, what a wonderful thing to have access to at that age. Like I so hope that everyone who needs those books finds them. And I feel like we all need them, to be
Yeah.
honest. Well, I want to ask, what do you think has been the hardest part of your writing journey so far?
Gosh, I have to say, like combining everything together with the making sure you don't think about publishing all the time and that we don't really have control over anything, that's really been a challenge. Is to kind of decide like pick your battles, but like what can you even battle over for a lot of things. So I think that's where it's so important to have a great team on your side. And I think that's everything from your writing buddies to your support system outside of publishing, to having a great agent advocate and an editor advocating for you in-house. Because I feel like before I got into this, I don't even know if I knew all the things I didn't have control over. So yeah, I think that has been challenging, and I don't know if you just get used to it over time or you get more control over things. It doesn't seem like it. So yeah, I think that's part of my goal for balance this year is to really think like, okay, what's really important to me and what space do I have to advocate for?
Mm.
Yes, I'm here for it. I love it. What has been the best part of your journey so far?
Oh, the best part are the readers and the librarians and stuff. There, I found out that a kid got in trouble for reading free period in class instead of paying attention. And I was like, oh,
Yeah.
I'm done. There's a, like, nothing can be better than that. Um, some kids dressed up as the characters for book day at their school. I met so many teachers and librarians who are like, I know exactly the kid to give this book to. And, I think that's why a lot of us do this. We really believe that kids deserve literature made specifically for them. Like, they're not shrunken down adults. Like, they're going through their own issues and they deserve the fart jokes. They deserve the learning how to express anger and messing it up. They deserve all that mess to be reflected back at them and to see, like, things can get better and I can have a voice right now in
Mm.
creating my community and my life that I want. And to hear that kids actually have gotten that from this book, like kids have read this book and went and talked to their principal about pads in the bathroom. I just think that's pure magic. And I feel like I'm so lucky that I got to experience that with this book.
Wow.
You're iconic. That's
You are
amazing.
iconic. I felt very emotional about that speech because yeah, I think you can never know like where kids are coming from, like everyone grows up in such a different environment and yeah, like for some people this will be their one thread, the one thing that like discusses periods in a positive light for them and that's going to be life-changing for so many young people. So again, thank you for writing this book. I'm
Thank
probably
you.
emotional thinking about my past self, who like
Yeah.
stole pads from my mom's cupboard because we'd never talked about it, And one day it just came and I was like, well, shit, I need something, like it wasn't discussed in my household at all. And I'm like, damn, imagine if we all just had have talked about it and laughed about it. And I would have been the
Yes.
first one cracking jokes if I had a fucking clue, you know? So
Yeah,
yeah.
and I have to say, like, I'm in my 40s now. I've had decades of worrying about these issues. I've had decades of where is my
Mm.
pad? Am I going to get it early? What's going to happen? And so what I say to kids is like, imagine, and I've said this to adults too, because we're not unique. There are so many people that in their 40s beyond can talk specifically about like they're in the moment again, they're 11 again, they're 12 again.
Mm.
What if we had these decades of mental thought back? What if we had decades of not worrying about where our pad was going to be?
Yeah.
Because half the population doesn't have those concerns. So, what if our kids today can change the conversation so that 30 or 40 years from now,
Mm.
they look back and they have been empowered to make sure that they were entitled to menstrual care throughout their life? And because those kids today who are menstruating, they're going to be the people going through menopause in 40 years.
Mm.
And they're going to be going through this fight again. I don't think so because I feel like they are changing the conversation right now. I just want to
Mm.
mention, like, when I started writing this book 10 years ago, no states were requiring pads in bathrooms. We're providing funding for them. There was pilot programs, one of the most prominent ones in New York City. Now, today, because of kids standing up and bringing their allies along with them, half the states in the United States either have pad requirements in bathrooms or they provide some funding. And it's not perfect. The pads aren't always there. But I feel like this is one of the greatest examples we can see of children standing up for their rights and creating change in real time that
Mm.
is actually going to have not only an effect on them for now and the kids following them, but they're going to take that energy as they are like living their whole reproductive lives and later on in menopause. So I am so excited to just have this little piece of the puzzle in reflecting back to kids what their peers are doing all over the country to change the United States.
Mm,
Wow. Yeah. Yep. I bow to thee honestly, and I can feel your excitement and just like love for young readers through the screen and to empower them. And I think it's so beautiful um, for middle grade writers in particular that are writing for the next generation, that are writing for these growing beings that will be our leaders, and showing them and empowering them in these in our world. Which I think we just need more and more of every single day is somebody reaching down to the youth and making them feel like your voice counts. And so
Yes.
thank you for writing this and for giving a voice to those readers. I think it's just so, so powerful. You're doing the
Thank you.
work. Yeah.
yeah. Well, I see we're down to like a minute. So I just want to thank you so much for coming on today and sharing this. Yeah, we are your fangirls and we cannot wait to share this episode with everyone. And yeah, just keep doing this amazing thing that you're doing. We're cheering so hard for you. And thank you for my
Thank you. And
uterus.
sorry, I just have to say I'm a huge fan of both of you, and I was so excited to talk to you. I love your work and I love everything around your work. I basically am a huge fangirl of both of you, and I just can't wait to see what both of you do next.
Thank you. Honestly, thank you. And I've seen you support us and I appreciate it. I
Yeah,
know Melanie does too. So thank you
I do.
again for your support.
Yeah.
Seriously. So yay! Thank you
Thank you. Bye.
for coming.
Period
Bye.
pride.
Period pride.
Woo!